I think the reality is it is an indictment of African political elite that 60 years later, somebody like Bongo, who comes from the larger Bongo family that has, ruled Gabon for over 50 years, and he comes out and makes some noise. Yeah, sure. I mean, like France is involved for its own reasons. Sure, other countries are involved for its own reasons. But I think since independence and since the introduction of multi-party politics, since the end of the Cold War, African political elite have not been able to deliver public goods that are required. It is inconceivable that all these countries have some form of natural resources that can be used to make the lives of most of these people, most of its citizens better. But what we are seeing is a regression. And just a good example is Gabon. It's not, like my brother said, a big country. It's relatively a small country in terms of size and population, but its wealth is a lot. But it's not benefited anybody apart from the Bongo family and people who are closer to them. Having said that, I think trust deficit, governance gap, and failure to deliver on public goods, we've got to be very careful. There are other countries in the region that are potential coup candidates. So this is not just a few African countries in Central and West Africa that are facing this problem. If you look at Equatorial Guinea, their president has been in power for over 40 years. You look at the Congo Republic, their president has been in power over 30 years. So that speaks volume. So it's not a support for the military intervention or military coups, but it is a situation where electoral governance or elections, although not sufficient but necessary condition for transition to democracy, has not delivered. Since the end of one-party rule in most of the African countries, the situation of common man on the ground has not improved. And I think we are faced with this dilemma where election doesn't deliver on public goods, and I loathe to say that military is neither a solution, whereas the analysis is that civilian governments have failed. I'm not very sure that moving 160 degrees going to the military will solve the problem that we have.